Hey everyone, I'm Diana Davison, advocate for the falsely accused and wrongfully convicted. I've been working with criminal lawyer in Toronto, Joseph Neuberger, for a number of years now, and some of you may have known that we originally met because there was new legislation being passed in Canada. He works in Toronto and I work out of Toronto now too. So we ended up connecting and doing panel discussions to try and stop some new legislation that would make it extremely difficult for people who are accused of sexual assault to get a fair trial. And we felt it would result in wrongful convictions.
Okay, we'll fix the tape.
Now, that legislation ended up getting passed, and it's been in place since, I think, December of 2018. It's finally wound its way up to the Supreme Court of Canada, where there's a constitutional challenge, and things may change. But in the meantime, everybody going to trial, and they were kind of slowed down because of the pandemic, but everybody going to trial had to put in an application prior to trial to use any evidence in the possession of the accused. It was deemed inadmissible unless you got permission to use that evidence. And that's not just evidence of a sexual nature, that's any evidence that we're talking about, receipts to prove when you traveled, anything that would be a document or an email or text messages, which I would like to point out, if the complainant wants to give text messages to the police, they don't need any permission. But if the accused wants to use text messages that the complainant withheld, they need to actually go to in front of a judge and argue against the prosecutor. And also the complainant gets standing to try and stop you from being able to use evidence of innocence. So sound crazy? We thought it sounded crazy too. So we've been fighting against it, but we did have to go to trial in the meantime. So this is what I want to talk about today. And Joseph and I were talking and he said, call it a roadmap to an acquittal, because essentially that's what we've managed to do. We've used these applications and put them together in a way that tells the story of the trial that's about to take place. And these hearings take place in front of the judge, who will ultimately be the judge on the trial, or they'll be managing the trial if it's being heard by a jury. Not too many jury trials have been taking place because of the pandemic, but so we construct them in a way to show first, this is what the complainant is saying, and capture all of the things that paint the picture that we're trying to address. And then we put together our evidence and what's the anticipated evidence of the defense and explain why it's relevant, all the documents that we want to use. And also for sexual history evidence, any questions we want to ask, because this bill changed that too. Now it's not just other sexual activity that's not the subject of the charge. It also is anything of a sexual nature. So pretty much any question you want to ask that might be deemed to be sexual at all. So we just went, hell, you know what? At the same time that this bill got passed, we also lost access to preliminary hearings. You can still get them if it's the person's under 16 and it's an interference charge, but primarily they wanted to eliminate preliminary hearings in sexual assault trials. So we've lost the preliminary hearing. Now we have to expose our defense prior to trial. So we kind of ended up doing a preliminary hearing through the applications. And it has worked out amazing, because the judge who hears it will then be looking at all the transcripts that you submit to show that, yeah, this is what they really said. They get a really good, clear picture of the case prior to trial. And it also is a chance, if we are successful in our application, it's a chance for the prosecutor to say, oh crap, they're going to be allowed to use all this evidence, so maybe I want to rethink. And we've actually just had like 2 trials withdrawn, two cases where all the charges were withdrawn right before trial. And that was, in a large part because of us being successful at these hearings. So I was saying it's like taking lemons and making lemonade. And we almost don't even want the legislation to be overturned anymore, because it's been working out so well for us. And so I wanted to give you that news, because it's rare for me to have good news. I mean, certainly we've been very successful working together, Joseph and I, but still the whole picture of what's going on and how many wrongful convictions are taking place because of this whole declaring anything in the defense possession is pretty much deemed to be a rape myth. Well, is it likely to prove his innocence? Oh, it must be a rape myth. So, that nonsense is still going on, but there's been a lot of good case law coming out, and I'm the legal researcher at Neuberger Partners. And so it was part of my job to follow all these new cases and then make sure that we're using them as effectively as possible. And the judges have been very receptive to it. And so things are actually possibly going to work out okay. I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do. I don't have a lot of faith in it because they've been virtue signaling and they've been taking the side of complainants pretty much in every case. Not just to say that they're biased, because there's reasons why some trials, they can say, well, it's going to result in a conviction anyway, even if something wrong happened. But that's the problem with law. The cases that go before the courts in terms of challenging things, especially constitutional challenges, some cases are stronger than others to say that there's an injustice going on. So, but that's the update. And I want to encourage you to go watch all of the episodes that Joseph and I have been filming. We do a podcast at at the law firm with the awesome Christopher Acey, who's also another lawyer there.
Okay. So I got asked to comment on this publicly, and I talked about the bail system, and then I got death threats.
Mm.
Well, that was by me.
No, that's just a daily routine here, and he doesn't take you very seriously.
He doesn't.
So those episodes have been going. I haven't been online much, but those episodes are online. So go check them out. I think there's a new one coming out in the morning or afternoon. So they tend to be released on Mondays, usually every other week. But we have had a bunch of trials, so we haven't had as much time to work on that. But I will definitely, as I keep saying, make an effort to get back online. And I really want you to check out the podcast because there's some really interesting stuff there, and it's really well produced. And that's essentially, it takes up a bunch of time, and then I feel like these videos are kind of crappy in comparison. But anyway, good to be back, and hope everybody has a great Christmas. If I don't make any more videos, but it's my intention to do so. I just I know you keep hearing that, so. Have a good night, and go check out the videos, and I will be back with more good news soon.